This video is about urban trends and issues, and we are still in part 2 about the challenges of megacities, and this one will be more specifically about the question of urban sprawl. A couple of definitions to start with. In English we use the term urban area to refer to the group formed by a city and its suburbs. In other words, urban area is the city seen from above, seen from the sky. If you look at an aerial view of any city on Google Maps, for example, you will clearly see the urban area, but it does not mean that it will be only one city with one name. You may have the name of the central city and the name of the suburbs. In Limoges, for instance, you have Limoges and some suburbs called Ile, Couzex, and so on. But seen from above, seen from the sky, they form only one urban area. The French term for this is agglomération. Another term in English to call urban areas is to call them built-up areas. So the areas where buildings are concentrated the urban way. Which leads me to the definition of urban sprawl. So urban sprawl is the outward spreading of a built-up area. And it's the result of a double dynamic, actually. Of course, a very strong dynamic and fuel of urban sprawl is urban growth, which at the moment in Africa, the example of Lagos, is happening at a very fast pace. So it's very difficult to control. Urban growth includes the arrival of newcomers, and newcomers may build new houses where you can find some land, where you can find some place. And very often the only land you can find is in the outskirts of the city, okay, which is what you call building on green field, something that used to be green and is now turned into a city. So that's a fact. And in reality, though, newcomers often start by inhabiting existing houses, existing slums near the city center. So the other dynamic is the fact that you have a migration of people from the inner city areas, so from the most central places in the city, to the outskirts of the town. And this process is what we call suburbanization. Okay, so the two terms, suburbanization and urban sprawl, they are almost synonym, except for the fact that urban sprawl is really about the result, the spatial result of suburbanization, and also in urban sprawl you have some kind of a negative connotation. Urban sprawl is a problem. Suburbanization is not necessarily a problem. In fact, you have the same difference in French between the two terms, la périurbanisation, ce phénomène de migration des hommes et des activités à la périphérie des villes, bon, ça arrive, et l'idée d'étalement urbain, qui lui va être perçu comme la conséquence négative de cela. So, just another picture to illustrate how important urban sprawl has been for a megacity like Lagos. Less than 1 century ago it was only a very small town located on this very good site for a harbor, so between the lagoon and the Atlantic Ocean. And nowadays this city is a megacity, and a very large one. So as I said, it means that many people living in the inner city districts have migrated to the outskirts of the town. And to explain that kind of suburbanization, you can use the push and pull factors. People and companies and businesses, they will try to escape an inner city district because for two opposite reasons actually. Because it may be overcrowded and so very impoverished, and so you want to move to the suburbs to have a more pleasant environment and a cheaper land, okay? Or it can also be because the price of the housing and of land in the city center becomes too expensive, and so you must go to the suburbs because this is cheaper, okay? But in both cases, it is due to the fact that there is a massive demand for land in the city center and there is not enough land. The pull factors are that in the suburbs you will find lower densities, so lower prices of housing and real estate, and often you will find, what makes suburbanization possible and good is when you have good transport infrastructures that allow people to live in the suburbs and work in the city center, for example. So all these mega cities like Lagos of Mumbai have clearly spilled over what used to be and still is sometimes their administrative limits. Okay, Lagos has gone so big that the city of Lagos is now outside the state of Lagos, the province of Lagos, for example. But the same can be true, the same is true and can be said about Mumbai. Now with Mumbai you have a city that stretches over more than 60 kilometers to the north and to the northeast. And it is now, the urban area is outside what are the limits of Greater Mumbai. As you can see on this map, the city, the urban area has overtaken the limit of what is called Greater Mumbai. And Greater Mumbai was already conceived as an administrative zone for a very large and enlarged city. Okay, so now you have other municipalities like Tain, for example, in the north, that is totally mixed up with the urban area of Mumbai. One remark about the urban sprawl of Mumbai is that the natural site of Mumbai is very, very specific, because originally Mumbai was located only in the peninsula that you can see in the west. By definition, land is very limited in the peninsula, and so the spreading of the urban area has been even particularly further, has been happening further away, because you just can't grow to the west because there is the sea, and the city can't grow to the east because you have the bay. As a result, you have this very, very long urban area today. We can see that places like the airport of Mumbai, which used to be outside of town, is now in the middle of the city because the city has spread around it. That is a very clear thing on Mumbai. As seen on the graph, since the 1950s, it's mostly the suburbs and even the cities, the urban areas outside of Mumbai, which have grown. The population of old Mumbai has remained the same because there's no room for more people actually, which is confirmed by the map, which shows that during not the last, but during the 20 years before the 90s and the year 2011, urban growth mostly concerned urban areas outside of Greater Mumbai. That's another way to see it, with these maps during different years of the history of Mumbai, where you can see the spreading of the built-up area. I would add that Urbanization is made even more difficult in Mumbai by the fact that you have many swamps around Mumbai. It's very wet, and so you can't build anywhere. And another remark is to say that a large part of the suburbanization of Mumbai has consisted in building slums, as we can see on this map, because this is the easiest thing to build. And so if we take one picture of the aerial view of a suburb in Mumbai, in fact we are just south of the Gandhi Park, if you look at another map. So one thing that is rather clear here is that you can clearly tell the slums from the formal city, which is made of tower blocks. You really have the two kinds of housing which are almost present on the same area. What does it prove? It proves that some part of the urban sprawl of Mumbai is legal, is planned, is organized, and another part is consisting of slums which are built spontaneously. It is really remarkable here. One other remark that we could make, not only about Mumbai but about any suburban areas in the world, is that in the suburbs you tend to have a clearer zoning between areas dedicated to residential function, only housing, and areas that will be about manufacturing, for example, or trade. We can see that even in the suburbs of a city like Limoges in France. I would like to add to make a judgment about urban sprawl. Why urban sprawl is negative? Well, it is negative because it challenges the definition of what a city is. By definition, a city is high density and great diversity of functions in the same place. If a city grows too much and sprawls too much, it's not dense anymore, because densities decrease in the suburbs. And you don't have this diversity and mix-up of functions. So excessively sprawled urban areas, we may wonder if they are cities anymore. So Mumbai is a good example of how strategies have been implemented to manage and limit urban sprawl. This issue was made particularly important in Mumbai because of the difficulties linked to the site. And so Mumbai needed some planning. So basically we have more or less everything in Mumbai, all strategies that were used. The principle of a green belt, which was invented by the British after World War II, which means that you have some areas where you just can't build. It's totally forbidden. You have it in Mumbai with the national park. Then you have another idea, which was to create new CBDs, new financial districts. You can see them on the map. One of them is north of Dharavi. It's called the Bandra Kurla complex. And you find the same thing in London. They have made a new CBD called Canary Wharf. The goal of this is to limit commuting. Commuting is the daily migration that people do from home to work. And if they live in the suburbs, well, they must commute on a long distance. So if you put CBDs in the suburbs, then in a way you create some elements of centrality in the suburbs. The name given to this strategy is called suburban intensification. In a way, it's when a suburbs becomes more central because it has the functions of a central urban district. And lastly, the other strategy used in Mumbai is the building of a new town. That's also a British idea, a new town, a new Mumbai called Navi Mumbai on the other side of the bay, where everything is doubled. You have a second airport and a second port. It does not work very, very well in Mumbai, by the way, but that's a fact. A quick view on what Lagos looks like in its suburbs. That's just one street view taken on Google Maps on random. And what is remarkable is that you don't have this clear distinction between slums and formal city in Lagos. Everything is mixed. You have strong, solid houses and shanties made of makeshift that are coexisting actually. You can't really see the slums and tell them from the formal city.